Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello everyone. Now students, let's talk about our next topic here, that is role of the parliament. Now before the students, we learnt about the similar topic, that was why do we need a parliament? We are trying to understand the importance of a parliament in a democratic government. Correct or not? So in your previous topic, when we were talking about why do we need a parliament, we learnt about four major points. We understood that a national assembly consisting of the elected representatives who have the responsibility of making the laws, right? So that kind of national assembly is referred to as parliament, and in different countries we have different names for the parliament. I also told you to find out the different names for these parliament, right? In different countries we refer it such as, we can call a parliament as that. In our country it is the parliament consisting of two houses, Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha. Correct? The lower house and the upper house, about which we are going to understand here. So in this topic students, again whatever you have read in your previous topic, you have to keep that in mind, because both parts are similar. Correct or not? Why are we needing a parliament? Role of the parliament. Definitely everything leads to one point here, that when we are talking about parliament, why is it important? So it is important because it is a legislative body that is involved in the process of law making. Correct or not? We understood about this? Yes. So in general, we can say that an assembly of elected representatives that has the power to govern on behalf of the people. Now again, if anyone asks you this question, that why are we talking about on behalf of the people? Can you answer this question, students? Yes, you can answer this question. Why? Because we know that when we are talking about our country, now again I am giving you the example of India here. So in India we have two houses, the Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha. So when we are talking about Lok Sabha students, what happens? These elected representatives in the Lok Sabha, who are these people? These are the people who have been directly elected by the common people. Correct or not? Through the process of elections. So we are referring to this term here, on behalf of the people. You have already learned about universal adult franchise, right? So all the adults who have the right to vote. Now parliament can make laws, change the old laws, make the new ones in their place. So this is a common point that you already have understood. Let's not discuss about this in detail here, because we have understood this point. There are so many laws that are made in our country, right? So it can be related to corruption, it can be related to women's security, it can be related to the health situation or the health sector of our country. Various laws can be made on that, right? Various laws can be made on the government jobs that people are getting. So laws are also made on the reservation policies, right? So reservation term again you already have learnt in your previous chapter also. So these are not the new terms for you. You just have to understand that the parliament is the legislative body making laws. The parliament can also amend the constitution. Yes. Now this might be a new point for you, but the term amend here is not new. So here students, in our constitution, we all know that this is the book of law, right? The rules that according to which the government is working. So our Indian constitution, that is the lengthiest written constitution. So ideas have been taken from various constitutions from all over the world. So here we see that the laws or the rules that have been laid down in our constitution, it can be amended. Yes, it can be changed. Not all the laws, but some of the laws can definitely be changed. The basic structure of the constitution, it cannot be changed or it cannot be amended. Okay. So here you have to understand this point, that the laws written in the constitution can be amended as well. Now parliament also control public finances. Haven't we read about this in our previous topic? Yes. So when we are talking about the public money, only when the parliament sanctions it or approves, the simpler term here is approves, gives the approval for it, then only we can say that the money can be used for different things. That can be related to, again, defense, it can be related to industrial sector, it can be related to any sector. Okay. Now, in most countries, any money that is raised from the people can be spent only after the approval of the parliament. Now, in our country, like I told you, the tax is collected from the people. Now, if you know this term, GST for our country, as you can see in the image that I've provided here, that is goods and services taxes, right? So, GST has been applied in our country, and also the taxes that are collected from the people. You know about the budget session, you know about the financial year, that is at the end of March. So basically, you can also ask your parents about this. I have told you earlier also that you can ask your parents that how do they fill up their tax or income tax, right? So all the people who are earning, right, they are earning certain amount. So a certain amount from their income has to be paid to the government for all the privileges that we are enjoying today. For example, in your neighborhood, you go to a park. The park, has it been made by you? You might wonder that who owns this park. Now, if that is a government property, so in that area, whatever things that are being done, if the person is taking care of that particular park, watering, putting new flowers there, planting new trees. So all these works, these are done by whom? By the government, right? So here you have to understand this point, that the government is investing on public properties, the things that we enjoy today. So we have to pay certain amount from the income that we earn to the government. So keeping the upkeep here for the common people, this is an important point. So therefore, Parliament has to control these public finances. Now this is an example that I am telling you, that why do we need to pay taxes, as there are so many other points, but at your level you have to understand that why we are paying these taxes. So a simple example to make you understand is that the garden or the park that you are going, you are using it for different things, for playing or for just walking. So many people are using that park, and the government or the MLA who is in that area, or the MP, let's say, so he has to see that the park is maintained. Correct or not, students? It can be for any area, for big cities, for small cities, everywhere. Okay, so all these government properties, they are being maintained also. How is the government getting the money? The government is getting the money only when people are paying their taxes, right? So here you have to understand this point also, that it is only through the parliament, after they approve it, so money can be raised from the people and it can be spent on various activities. Okay. Apart from that, Parliament is the highest forum of discussion and debate about national policies and issues affecting the people. Now, people, they can raise various. Now, why are we electing our government? Obviously, to look after our welfare, right? To work in our favor, to look into the issues that people are facing. Correct or not, students? So, therefore, there should be a space where these elected representatives, they can go and discuss such issues. They can go and raise the issues that common people are facing. So this is the parliament where the elected representatives, they sit down, they discuss, they debate on various national issues. It can be related to the terrorist activities that happen sometimes. You might have heard it in news. It can be related to defense. It can be related to the economy of our country. That is really important. It can be related to the health issues or the health sector. It can be related to various sectors that we have in our country, right? And also the issues that common people are facing. It can be poverty, it can be hunger, it can be illiteracy, education, right? So these are some of the points that can be raised in our parliament, and here it is discussed by the people, by the ministers who have been elected by the common people. Now the parliament exercise control over those who govern the country. Yes, another important point here that we have to keep in mind, that parliament is exercising the control over the ruling party. Now, when we are talking about the ruling party or the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, you have heard the term that is executive. Now, they are responsible for executing the laws, for implementing the laws. So, Parliament, they exercise some control here over the ruling party, over the ruling government. But what happens here? In some countries, Parliament is the chief executive. Very important point here, students. Because we are going to understand about two systems here that exist in the world when we are talking about democratic government. One can be the parliamentary system and the other can be presidential system. Okay? So what happens in some countries, the Prime Minister is the chief executive. Okay? And also, he is chosen by the Parliament and he remains in power till the Parliament approves of him. Have you read this point or not? You already have understood this point? But again, I'll explain you here. It means that the chief executive, what do we understand by this term? That he is responsible for taking all the major decisions related to national issues. Okay? So here in our country, what happens? Prime Minister and current in power, Mr. Narendra Modi. The example? So Prime Minister is the chief executive. He, along with the Council of Ministers, several ministers working under him, they are responsible for implementing the laws. They are responsible for taking the major decisions in various sectors, taking or executing these laws that is concerned to the national issues. It can be also related to defense, international affairs, foreign affairs in general, and so on. Now, how is he chosen? He is chosen by the Parliament. And we all know that the elected representatives of the Parliament, they are directly elected by the common people. So here when we are talking about the majority party, the party that has gained or that has secured the maximum votes, it is the winning party, correct or not? So if BJP in 2019 general elections secured the maximum number of votes as compared to the other smaller parties or the opposition parties, it means that it is going to be the party in majority and it is going to be the ruling party. So here the main leader from the ruling party is chosen as the Prime Minister, and along with him we have Council of Ministers. Okay, so here he remains in power till the Parliament approves of him. Another important point that you have to keep in mind, that till the Parliament is approving of the majority party or the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers, till then only they are going to be in power. Now, do you remember about the vote of no confidence that I was talking about? Yes. So, when we are talking about the no confidence motion, the opposition parties at any time, whenever they feel that the government is not working properly or they are not satisfied with the working of the ruling party, they can file for no or they can vote in for no confidence motion. Okay? And once they have done it, the majority party, they have to go through a floor test. What does this floor test it means? It means that they have to prove their majority in the Parliament, in the Lok Sabha. And if they fail to do so, they have to resign. The government then there will dissolve, and in next elections again a fresh elections would take place. Okay. So once a vote of no confidence is passed, the government including the Prime Minister has to resign. Please understand this point very nicely, because this vote of no confidence, again it is a major or advantage or a power that we can say enjoyed by the members of Parliament, whether it's the opposition party that we are talking about, and it can be any party, right? So if they pass this or if they go for a vote of no confidence, and once it is passed, the government including the Prime Minister has to resign. Okay. Now here this is a newspaper cut, students, just to show you the example for no confidence motion. So the first ever no confidence motion, it was moved in the year 1963. Till then, none of us were born, right? So it was in the year 1963 that the first ever no confidence motion was passed or moved. Now total 26. Okay. Indira Gandhi government, again the Congress party, during the time of Indira Gandhi, it faced maximum number of no confidence motion. So it was for 15 times that the opposition parties, they passed for or they voted for this no confidence motion. July 1993, it was against Narasimha Rao. 1999 against the Vajpayee government. August 2003 against the Vajpayee government. So the government, it won the confidence vote. Okay. Now July 2008, it was a trust vote after CPM. They withdrew their support from Manmohan Singh government. Government proved its majority. Now here the government had lost. Here the government, it won the confidence vote. It means that they won the floor test. They got the support of the majority members there. So this is how the no confidence motion, it works. Also, now here when we are previously I told you about the parliamentary system and the presidential system. When we are talking about what? When we are talking about the democratic form of government. So when we are referring to the parliamentary system, in parliamentary system what happens? The party or alliance which has the majority, it rules the country. Now when we are talking about the parliamentary system, it means that we are referring to a parliament. We are talking about the executive, judicial, we all know these terms. Nothing is new here. So there is a parliament in which the party or alliance. Now what do you understand by this term, that is alliance? Are you aware of this term? If not, let me explain it to you right now. So when we are talking about alliance, it means that if any party that has won the election or is not able to prove its majority, it can join with the other parties, with smaller parties, to prove its majority in order to get the maximum votes that is required to win the election. Okay. Now let's say if BJP requires to get 252 votes and they are short by 5 to 6 votes. Okay. So what will they do? They will try to align themselves with other smaller parties. They would like that all these parties, they should come in alliance with them, right? And they should make a group of alliance, or let's say in general terms group. Okay. So these group of parties, then they will try to form the majority or the ruling party. So it has the majority and therefore it is going to rule the country. Now countries like Britain and India, we follow this system, that is the parliamentary system. Correct or not? In our country, we are definitely talking about this in this chapter. So we can say that the parliamentary system, it exists in our country. Yes. Now another kind of system that exists in democratic government is the presidential system. Now what happens in presidential system? In presidential system, we have the chief executive, that is the president, as the name suggests. So in parliamentary system, we have the prime minister and the council of ministers, right? We have the president, but he is the nominal head. All the decisions are taken in the name of the president, but major working is done by the prime minister and his council of ministers. Okay, his or her council of ministers. Now when we are talking about the presidential system, what happens here? The chief executive here is the president, that is directly elected by the people. Again, important point that we have to keep in mind. Now there is a parliament here, but the powers are restricted to making laws and holding discussions. Here the major decisions, they are taken by the president, directly elected by the people. Now such a system is prevalent in the USA, Russia and some countries of Latin America. Now here when we are talking about US, who is the current president there? We have the president Donald Trump there, right? Right. So basically what happens in presidential system is that we are not voting for prime minister. We are voting for the president. Okay? That is directly elected by the people. There is Senate system there. They have the House of Representatives. Okay, so here you have to understand the difference between these two kinds of system that exists in democratic system. Now, or democratic government. Now here when we are talking about our country, we have to understand another important point. That is the parliament of our country. It consists of the two houses. Now there are few points mentioned in the book that I'll try to explain you in short here, because these are some of the terms that you are learning since the beginning of this chapter. So when we are talking about the two houses, the first one is the Lok Sabha, that is also known as House of People. Now if anyone asks you this question that why are we referring Lok Sabha as the House of People, what are you going to answer? We can say that the House of People because it is the elected representatives, they are being directly elected by the common people, right? But when we are talking about Raj Sabha, it is referred as the Council of State. Now why are we saying Raj Sabha as the Council of State? Let us try to understand the difference between these two houses here. So talking about the Lok Sabha, it is directly elected by the people, and when we are referring to the Lok Sabha, we know that the tenure for the elected representatives for the ruling party here, it is for 5 years. Why, students? Now if you remember, we have already learned that general elections take place in our country after regular interval of time, that is after every 5 years. Correct or not? Yes. So here the people who are elected or the ministers who are elected by the common people, they will rule for 5 years. Again after a duration of 5 years, fresh elections are held. Then the party that is in majority, that becomes the ruling party or the majority party. And this is how the government keeps working or keeps going on. But what about the election of the Raj Sabha? Here you have to understand that the elections for the Raj Sabha is very much different from that of the Lok Sabha. So in Raj Sabha, we have the representative of states in India. Now when we are talking about different states such as Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Bihar, you are hailing from Nagaland. So each and every state send their representatives in Raj Sabha as well. So it is the representative of states in India. But how are the members elected here? So they are elected by the MLAs. MLAs here, what does that mean? MLAs here, it means that we are referring to the member of legislative assemblies of all different states, of state assemblies. So they are the people who are electing the members of the Raj Sabha. Okay, they are the representatives of the states. Now you can see the two picture here. One is for the Lok Sabha and one is here for the Raj Sabha. Now when we are talking about the Raj Sabha, we have 12 members of Raj Sabha and 2 members of the Lok Sabha that are nominated by the President of India. Yes, students. Now you have to understand this point as well, that when we are referring to the Raj Sabha, there are 12 members of the Raj Sabha who are nominated. President is responsible for nominating these members, and these 12 members, they are chosen for their achievements in the field of art, literature, science, social science and so on. From various fields, all these people, they are nominated by the President and they become the representatives in Raj Sabha. And 2 members of Lok Sabha, they are nominated by the President of India. Now here again you can see the newspaper cut, that report card of 12 members nominated in Raj Sabha. So these are some of the names if you can see. So Mary Kom, she's a very known figure in sports. Suresh Gopi, Anu Aga. So these are some of the people from various fields, from art, music, literature, science. So all these people, they are nominated by the President. So here you have to understand this point. Also, when we are talking about the duration or the tenure of Raj Sabha, it is 6 years. Okay. So after every 6 years, we see that new members. As you can see that after every second year in Raj Sabha, 1/3 members of the Raj Sabha, they retire, and therefore the Raj Sabha, it is a permanent body. It never gets dissolved, unlike the Lok Sabha. So after every 5 years, the Lok Sabha gets dissolved. Only after that, new elections, fresh elections are taking place and a new government is being formed. But have you heard about Rajya Sabha like that? No. So when we're talking about Rajya Sabha, what happens here? 1/3 members of the total capacity in Rajya Sabha, they retire after every second year. And the tenure for Rajya Sabha is 6 years for all the elected representatives. Okay? So these are certain points that we have to understand here in role of the parliament. After this, students, we will understand about the functions of the parliament. Thank you very much.